All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about two words that have really shaken up Indian politics lately. Vote chori.
So, vote chori. Literally, it means vote theft. Simple, right? But these two words, they've become the rallying cry for a massive political firestorm that calls into question the very integrity of India's elections. So let's break down what it's all about.
So, let's set the scene. It's August 2025, and this phrase, vote chori, it just explodes. What started as kind of a whisper suddenly becomes this massive national debate, and it's all built on some incredibly serious allegations against the electoral system.
Okay, so you've got these huge claims flying around, but what are the actual facts here? How does a single report about one city just snowball into this giant national movement? Well, it really all begins with the numbers.
Okay, so let's start with the allegations themselves. And we should be clear, this wasn't just some off-the-cuff political remark. This was presented as a really detailed, data-heavy case, the result of what the Congress Party says was a 6-month-long investigation.
Okay, get ready for this number. 100,250. That is the number at the absolute center of this whole thing. It's the number of voters the investigation says were either fake or fraudulent. And here's the kicker, that's not across all of India. That's from just one single constituency, Bangalore Central. That one number right there is the entire foundation for everything that comes next.
So how in the world did they get to a number that big? Well, it's not just one thing. They've broken it down into 5 different types of alleged fraud. You're looking at things like almost 12,000 duplicate voters. One person registered in a few different places. Then there's over 40,000 voters at addresses that, well, they say they don't exist. We're talking house number 0. And maybe the wildest one? Over 33,000 cases where people over 70 years old were put down as new voters, a category that's supposed to be for 18 to 23-year-olds. It's a lot to take in.
And this is where the data turns into political dynamite. In that election, the winning margin was around 32,000 votes. But the number of these alleged fake votes, over 100,000. So the argument they're making is incredibly simple and stark. If these claims are true, then the number of dodgy votes is more than 3 times the margin of victory. It would completely flip the result on its head.
Okay, but that is just one side of a very complicated story. Now we have to look at the official rebuttal. Let's see how the Election Commission and the BJP pushed back against these really serious accusations.
The response from the Election Commission of India, the institution that runs the biggest elections on the planet, it was fast and it was clear. They basically said the allegations are baseless and that there's no systemic fraud. So this isn't just a simple disagreement. It's the country's top electoral body putting its authority on the line, creating this direct clash between the data and the institution itself.
And the Election Commission didn't just stop at a denial. They really went on the offensive here. They challenged the evidence itself, basically saying, show us the proof or issue a public apology. They even zeroed in on specific examples, like a voter named Shakun Rani, who was supposedly a duplicate. The EC said, nope, we checked. She only voted once. So their core message through all of this was crystal clear. You can trust our process.
So this whole thing quickly moved way beyond spreadsheets and press conferences. It absolutely exploded into the public domain, turning what started as a data dispute into a full-blown national movement.
And you can see the impact almost instantly. On social media, the hashtag #VoteChori just went viral. We're talking a 900% jump in mentions right after the campaign kicked off. It stopped being just another news story. It became the national conversation.
And to turn that online chatter into something more concrete, the campaign started issuing these digital supporter certificates. It's a pretty smart move, right? And the response was immediate. Over 20,000 of them were claimed in just a few hours. It really shows you how quickly they were able to mobilize people, even if it was just online.
So where's this all headed? Well, this controversy is definitely not going away. If anything, it seems like it's just setting the table for the next big round of political fights in India.
To keep the heat on, the opposition has laid out a pretty clear plan. First, the India opposition bloc says its MPs are going to march right to the Election Commission. Second,
There's a nationwide voter rights march in the works, and maybe most importantly, they're pushing hard to get digital voter rolls released before the next major state election in Bihar. They're tying this whole controversy directly to the next ballot box.
And all of this really leaves us with one big final question. When you have a set of data that directly contradicts the word of a trusted institution, how does a democracy hold on to public trust? That's the real heart of this whole vote chory debate. And honestly, in our current age of information overload, it's a question that pretty much every democracy might have to face sooner or later.